My name's Ted Visner, and a good friend of mine from the eastern part of the state, David Scheide's come over, and we're going to shoot some video this weekend on some stuff that people really need to see, having to do with Child Protective Services and how they're using the county courts to deprive respondent parents of their due process rights and ultimately take their children. It's a horrific thing that's going on, and it needs to be exposed. If you have a similar case, if your children have been abducted by CPS, the videos that we're going to be shooting this weekend are real important for you to see. We break it down, the rules and the laws they claim to be using, how they're misinterpreting these laws and rules, and how they're intentionally depriving Michigan parents of their due process rights, how they're trapping parents into a jurisdiction wrongfully achieved and criminally maintained, and how the Michigan Supreme Court has played a massive role in this by creating court rules that keep these parents trapped into a system where they're completely defenseless. We're also going to show how court-appointed lawyers are manipulating their position and their influence over these respondent parents, who most of the time don't have money for an attorney. And we're also going to show how even paid attorneys are part of the system created and maintained to trap parents in a position where they can't win. It's truly a no-win situation. We'll be discussing the Daniel Austin case. It's a case that's loaded with examples of how and why they're doing what they're doing, the benefits for them in proceedings where the respondent parents have no standing, they don't have a voice, and we're going to break it all down for you. It's amazing. It's amazing that this has even been allowed to go on, and the leaders, the alleged leaders here in Michigan, should be ashamed of themselves. Bill Schuette should be ashamed of himself, horribly ashamed of himself. Instead, he's running for governor. So, he's fully aware of what's going on. And he'll pretend that he doesn't. There's no intake form for the Michigan Attorney General to hear these complaints, therefore they don't exist. This is just bullshit, okay? Bill Schuette, I'm going to tag you in this video, and you're going to be the ass that you are, and you're just going to ignore it. But the people aren't going to ignore it, okay? I'm calling you out. I'm calling out the Michigan Supreme Court for their complicity in what's going on in the federal crimes that are being carried out by county and state government here in Michigan. If you want to look it up real quick, type in Title 18, Sections 241 and 242 into your Google browser. Excuse me. These two federal criminal statutes refer to the intentional deprivation of rights under color of law. And that's exactly what's going on. CPS parents, the parents of these children are being bulldozed, steamrolled into court, called with 10 minutes notice to appear at these court proceedings, and appointed somebody that's going to make sure that they get screwed. Here's your court-appointed screwing agent. Okay, all these people are members of the bar, supervised by the Michigan Supreme Court, who's built a back door into the court rules that trap people in a jurisdiction unknowingly. And it's just a sham. It's a total sham. And I've been working with a lot of parents in Michigan, and this seems to be the majority of the rule of how these parents are brought in. I've spoken to parents in Michigan here that have, they've never even seen the paperwork that they were supposed to have been served. They never got a copy of the summons and petition. They don't even know what the allegations are against them that CPS has brought. So these are real things. This is a horrific crimes against our future. Our children are our future, and to parade around as an agency, the CPS parading around as an agency to protect children, it's just wrong. I mean, if the agency were gone today, completely gone, the children would be better off. They say that 2 out of 20 cases that CPS deals with are legitimate, where they have factual grounds to actually do what they do. And the other 18 out of 20 families are railroaded without cause, without need, without due process. You know, that's the trouble we have when we streamline a system to find everybody guilty. You're going to get so many people caught up into the system that aren't guilty. And Daniel Austin is one of them. And I use that case as an example because I've become intimately familiar with the documents in that case. And we're going to put all those documents online, and we're going to show you how they're doing it, why they're doing it, and who's perpetrating what's going on here. You know, I've already caught judges lying in court transcripts and in audio recordings posted on my YouTube channel. You got to listen to them if you haven't. You know, and if you're not somebody that cares about the direction this country's going in, then go, you know, go do whatever you're doing, okay? But stay out of the way. But if you care about where this country's going, you need to start sharing these videos. You need to start insisting that people take a look at them. And it's just kind of ironic that this child protection racket is kind of fallen into my lap here, because I've been pursuing county corruption for the past 5 years. I've kind of made it my career now. I don't get paid to do it, but I spend a lot of time, probably 14 hours a day minimum, working on this. So it's worth paying attention to, and because if you ever find yourself or your children find themselves in dealings with CPS, they're not going to win. I'll guarantee it. They're not going to win, you're not going to win, and if your children can't keep their children, you're not going to see your grandchildren. So the point I'm trying to make here is if you care about the direction of our country, and if you want to see some real clear, poignant examples of how the system is being used and manipulated, from the county courts all the way up to the Michigan Supreme Court, you need to pay attention to the following series that I start posting here on my YouTube channel. This is serious business, folks, and if you don't have the stomach for it, like I said, pretend it's not going on. But more and more of us, and my exposure to this, and being doing the work that I'm doing, I you know, more and more people are finding this information because it's becoming more prevalent. You know, you see these reports where more people were killed in the United States in the month of March than in the entire 20th century in the UK. And what does that tell you? You know, it's getting worse now, and people are paying attention. So hopefully what I have to share with you and help explain to you will help you with your own case. I'm hoping it will. I'm truly hoping it will, because what's going on here is CPS is trapping people into a jurisdiction that they don't belong in. And all you have to do is object. You have to object that the court never obtained jurisdiction over you and the case doesn't exist. You know, that is the only way out for most people. And you know, if you want to continue to argue the allegations, you know they're all bullshit anyway, right? I mean, almost every parent I've talked to said they have all these allegations, and I never did that. When you say I never did that, or that's not true, you're actually begging to be in the jurisdiction. And you have to comprehend what I'm saying when I say that. It's not easy to understand, and but you have to get away from it. If you're going to argue the allegations, then you're begging to be in the jurisdiction. And what I'll have to show you in these follow-up videos is about terminating the case completely from its inception, meaning all of the court orders are void. Okay, if you weren't properly served notice, and this is for Michiganders dealing with CPS, if you were not served the summons and petition 7 days prior to your hearing, everything that's happened from that date is void. Okay, there is no better way to fix your case. You can continue arguing with these criminals that brought you into the jurisdiction wrongfully and unlawfully and are criminally keeping you in the jurisdiction, or you can elect to object to the notice defects in your case and terminate the proceedings from before they even began. That's the power of what I have to share with you in the following videos. So I encourage you to take a look, because it is the best defense in Michigan. And from what I understand, the other states are doing the same thing. And all states have courts, all states have court rules, and I would bet that all states have court rules that are doing the same thing as the Michigan Supreme Court is doing through the court rules to the people here in Michigan. They've created a court rule that says once you've made an appearance and participated in the proceedings against you, you've waived your rights to raise any objection to the notice defects, which are terminal to the case. Terminal to the case, meaning your case is gone. It doesn't exist. It never did exist, and you're acknowledging that fact. That's what a notice defect is to your case. So it's critical, it's been critical for the Michigan Supreme Court to create this rule in Michigan, and if you're not in Michigan, you need to find the verbiage in the Michigan court rule that I'm going to quote right here, right now, from memory, and you need to see how it's written in your state, and it'll probably be written in similar verbiage. And if you take part of the sentence of the text from the Michigan court rule, you'll find how it applies in whatever state you're in, if there's a corresponding court rule in your state that does exactly the same thing. The Michigan court rule I'm referring to, created, implemented, and promoted by the Michigan Supreme Court, is under Michigan Court Rule 3.920, and it's subsection H. And it's about notice. And what it says is that when a respondent makes an appearance and participates in the case against them, they're waiving their right to object to the notice defects. Essentially, that's saying you're giving your permission to give away your due process rights, and that's not even possible. And the Michigan Supreme Court knows that, and the Iowa Supreme Court knows that, and the Idaho Supreme Court knows that. My point being is that you need to know that. Okay, it's obvious that they don't care. The Michigan Supreme Court does not care. The Michigan Supreme Court can't make a court rule that says you're waiving your right to due process. It's not possible. It's totally unconstitutional. But the thing about the Michigan court rules is they're written, they're promoted, and they're perceived as law by your county judges, by your county prosecutors, by your public defenders. Okay, so all these lawyers are proceeding as if these court rules are law. Okay, and they're promulgated by the Michigan Supreme Court, and the Michigan Supreme Court is not the legislative branch of government. Okay, and there's countless court rules that will demonstrate the same thing I'm talking about. So, getting back on point, if you've got a case with CPS, if you know somebody who's fighting a case with CPS, there's a way to fight the case that destroys the case against you. And, I probably wouldn't be sharing this information if I didn't believe that the lion's share of the cases created by CPS weren't bogus to begin with. And that's kind of the pretense that I'm using here. I believe people are innocent until they're proven guilty. CPS and DHS in the Michigan court systems operate the exact opposite. You are guilty until we say you're not. And that's how they operate. So again, follow us here. There's going to be a lot of new videos here. Working with some really great people around the state. We're shooting videos in 3 or 4 different locations right now, and we're trying to expand on that. I'm offering classes out of my home. In fact, I'm in the classroom right now. I've got an unfinished house here. It's about 8,000 square feet. I've got seating for 40, and we've seen some real interest in this. So, in addition to teaching parents the rights and how our alleged officials are pulling one over on us and getting with the parents who've actually been affected by this, I'm hoping that I can put an end to this by the end of the summer 2015. And that's my goal, that's my objective. And to do that, enough parents need to be brought up to speed with how they're being criminalized, or with how crimes are being committed against them that they don't even know about. These children are being kidnapped. This is a child trafficking scheme, and it's being conducted by CPS through your county prosecutor's office. Here in Isabella County, that's Risa Scully, and I'm calling her out too. Okay, she's an active participant in this child trafficking scheme. That's got to stop. It's got to stop. Our children are our future, and the state's taking that away. And if you don't care, don't bother commenting, okay? If you don't care about the state of our nation, the state of Michigan, don't bother commenting. If you want to learn about the truth, if you want to learn how to defend yourself against these criminal bastards, then I post my phone number all over the place. This is plugged into my head like 24/7. I'll take your call 24/7. I don't charge a nickel. Okay, but you've got to have this information, because it's the only way to stop them. They're out of control. Judges, prosecutors, defense attorneys, and lawyers in general are out of control. So hopefully this is reaching an audience that cares. Hopefully you guys will share this. Undoubtedly, you know somebody that's had some issues. And it's not the state's position to say your house is dirty, I'm taking your kids. But they are. They're doing it all over this country. All right. So if we're gonna fix our country, let's start with making sure that our largest resource, our children, are preserved, so that future generations can have the same things that we've had. Okay, so that we grow up in a free country that's no longer free. Anyways, stay tuned for more videos. I'm getting more at ease in front of the camera. I'm missing a few teeth now that I'm 47, almost 50, so I was embarrassed to be in front of the camera. I'm over that. Such is life. The more important things in life are our children. And we'll see you on the next video. Take care and stay safe. Bye.